including Cannoli Gangster, Boombox Serenade, and Fan Mail. His Pushcart Prize-nominated poems, reviews, essays, and articles have appeared in numerous journals, or as we say, widely. He resides in Western New York with his family and teaches at the college writing program at SUNY Buffalo State University. Follow him on Twitter and Instagram at Joey Nicoletti. All right, Joey.
Hey,
take it away.
What's up, everybody? Thanks for coming tonight. I mean, it's Friday night. You're here. Thanks, George. Thanks, Denise. Thanks, everyone, for making tonight possible. This is great. And, you know, again, the cool thing about being able to do this is, I don't know, for me, I like doing this because I get to make new friends and see old friends. So this is just so cool. So thanks for being here tonight. The first poem I'd like to read for you is from my book, Cannoli Gangster. The name of this poem, it's for Nancy Pelosi, for former Speaker Pelosi. This is for her and for all people who fit under this title, called When Italian-American Grandmothers Rule the World, for Speaker Pelosi, former Speaker Pelosi. It goes like this. Weapon-like glares are fired in the direction of those who dare to put their elbows on the table. Everybody gets a chance to talk, be heard, and eat, and eat, and eat. When the men's stomachs are sufficiently filled, the women gather in the den and unhook their bras. They talk about their kids or watch in arrested heart delight as John Travolta dances the night away with Karen Lynn Gorney. Smelling of garlic and Chianti, the old Neapolitans who still curse Mussolini clear the table with their gnarled hands. They wash the good china and silverware, while grandmother, Nonna, always prepares the next course. When it's ready, she calls everyone back, and the women peel themselves off the rearranged furniture of power, still wrapped in plastic.
Karen Lynn Gorney reference.
Yeah.
I met Karen Lynn Gorney.
No.
I had a long conversation with Karen Lynn Gorney.
How long did you talk with Karen Lynn Gorney?
An hour.
An hour? What in God's name did you talk about?
At an event in Montauk, and she was there.
In Montauk?
I don't know why she was there. It's some restaurant. It's like a benefit of some kind.
Oh,
I
wow.
don't know why I was there. That's how, but she was really nice. Karen Lynn Gorney was very nice. You know, the Travolta character would have done well if he just. I guess he did. Did he get? Doesn't he get her in the end? Doesn't he like?
Really?
Not kind of.
Well, they're friends,
No.
right? Because yeah, like the last image is like them holding hands, you know. Then
Okay.
then they embrace, and then the Bee Gees come back in.
Oh, okay.
How deep is your love?
God bless Karen Lynn Gorney.
God bless Karen in Montauk.
Yes.
And you had no idea she was going to be there.
I know. Well, who would ever expect Karen Lynn
Well,
Gorney?
you never know. That's just
Wow. It's like if Travolta shows up. Now
that's
Travolta walks through that door tonight.
well
You've done your
then.
job.
You know you
Then-
made it.
That's right.
Well, speaking of actors and actresses and those who are Italian American, let me ask you, and let me ask, I'm sorry, your name?
Melissa.
Hi, Melissa.
Hi.
Joe, it's nice to meet you. Melissa, do you have a favorite thespian, favorite actor, actress?
Oh, Melissa McCarthy.
Ah, good choice. Yeah, she's really coming into her own, hasn't she?
She's one of my favorite newer. Yeah.
Yeah, no, like,
Do you have a classic favorite?
You put me on the spot now. I think I know what your audiences are going to be.
I shouldn't question my audience.
Dustin Hoffman.
good choice. Oh, he's great.
Yeah, there's so many.
Oh, man. Well, this next poem is about one of my, if not my all-time favorite actors, certainly one of them. This is called Al Pacino Said. Al Pacino said, hoo-wah, which means highly agreeable or very fine. As in, I just won $10 million tax-free. Or, let me show you what I learned from the Kama Sutra. Let's hear it till your ears bleed. The Chinese knock, Italian-American thespian style. Because short, dark, and handsome is handsome in any voice. Whether husky from another glass of whiskey or breathless from the sight of Ashley Judd's bare ass, very fine indeed. Or, in the words of our Goomba, hoo-ah. Son of a woman. I mean, he got the Oscar for it, right? He got the Oscar for it, but it was really, let's be honest, it was an apology Oscar.
That's a terrible movie for me.
Yeah.
Not not my owl. I'm going owl, that's not the owl.
Which owl would you say?
Oh, this is also why we don't have an audience, by the way. It depends on which owl you want. Like, do you want the Scarface owl? Do you want the over the top owl? Or do you want the sort of, I'm still a good actor owl at some point? Or the Sea of Love owl, like I'm redeeming myself for all the bad performances.
Redemption owl.
Just had these.
I gotta go with Dog Day Afternoon myself.
Okay. That's pretty over the top.
Attica. Yeah, just gotta, which is appropriate, right? So yeah, gotta go with that one. But with that, so here's
You
no
are
fun.
sitting in front of a bank, by the way. So there you go.
That worked out. Well, this next poem, it's a baseball poem, sort of. It's not in fan mail, but it is a baseball poem, and it's weird because I'm a Yankees fan, but I seem to write a lot about the Boston Red Sox, and I don't know why that is. I can't tell you, but I do.
Unresolved hostility.
Maybe also, especially in recent years. Yeah, maybe. But this is, so here we go. The name of this poem is Green Monster, after the famous wall in Fenway, Green Monster. My father's tempestuous tongue fires at will on the phone. Cousin Bobby is ambushed on the other end. Vietnam continues for them. Jack-o'-lanterns frown on stoops. On TV, Bucky Dent gets unusually good wood on the ball thrown by Mike Torres. It's hit deep to left, clearing the Green Monster. A burgundy caddy Seville on blocks in the drive. The head of a switchblade rising from my father's shirt pocket like a shark fin.
Wow. Yes.
I love my family, I do. And I think one thing I can tell you about baseball, why it's like the one thing that really could be, I don't know, like make people talk to each other instead of just talk at each other. So one commonality. Everything else and anything else is like grounds for war in my family, like automatically, just for existing. But baseball, people get pissed off eventually, but like there'll be like 5 minutes before that happens, as opposed to 0 seconds and other things. So I guess that's why baseball for me, or one reason.
How far away are they? About 300 miles.
Yeah,
Yeah.
not far enough.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Did I say that out loud? But speaking of family, I'm gonna read a few poems from my second book, from Reverse Graffiti. The first one I'd like to read for you is, I don't know, kind of like a meditative memoir, for lack of a better way of putting it. But it's also part recipe. It's called Onion Pie. The wind, the rattling wall, dinner baking in the oven. The dead of winter, a string of salt diamonds, a light in a street of slush and moonlit ice, and the cat retires to his feathery bed. I'm the child who's read every issue of The Amazing Spider-Man. I spin webs of all shapes and sizes on and off the page to capture the nebulous villains of memory and tradition who would otherwise defeat or evade me. I investigate my mother's stories about her childhood in Orsonia, Italia. The latest case, Lisa, my mother's kid sister, who went to school one day and didn't return. 3 army soldiers stormed into her classroom. Reeking of pipe and smoke and wine, they demanded everyone's jewelry, including the teachers, for the war effort. The class obeyed. The soldiers sang the Canto degli Italiani, then left and set the school ablaze. The firefighters saved some of the children. Lisa wasn't one of them. I've never seen a picture of her. Thus, the character, almost Aunt Lisa, has appeared in my life like a phantom in the mausoleum of my imagination. My mother, Nonno Giovanni, and Nonna Ida were in America, Astoria, New York, 11 months later. My mother's recollections of the journey were limited to adjectives and events. Long, cramped, vile. A cousin and an uncle dead. The cause, malaria, maybe scurvy. Death had a clammy grip on the forehead and the heart. Since we've been partners, my wife and I have tried to find the answers together. We have yet to fill in all the blanks of the blue exam books of our respective cultural and familial histories. Mastering recipes is the closest we've come to a thoroughly successful search. But tonight features a succulent trip to the old country, a buttery, spicy sweet taste of Italia. I pulled the onion pie out of the oven, My face kissed my steam.
Do you make onion pie?
Yeah.
I've never had onion pie.
I've never heard of it. You know, it's funny.
Is it what it sounds like?
Well, I'll leave that.
Yeah, you get what you think it is.
But no.
Is it the deli or is it?
Well, these are both great questions because, not just because they are, but check it. Like, I don't know, like my friends who are Italian, right? You know, they hadn't heard of it. And, you know, they come over and they say, what the hell is that? Is that like Chicago style pizza? Because that's what it looks like. It's puffy. And, you know, everything's all in the middle. So, and you do need like a knife and a fork to eat it. So it's like, yeah. So it's like a puffy pie filled with like anchovies and everything else.
There's anchovies in
pie. So, yeah.
It's kind of nutty, and sometimes a little tomato paste, and like multiple types of onions.
Right.
With some spices.
Should I Google it? No,
I don't know.
So do you have a recipe that you were?
Yeah.
Actually, we do.
But it's more like a struggle.
Where's this come from? What, is there a place in Italy where onion pie is like best?
Well, I remember, you know, like the first time I had it, I can remember. I had to be about 7, 8, somewhere in there that I can remember having it. And I asked my mom what it was that I was eating because I never seen a pie this tall. You know, it was just, it was as big as me. I mean, I'm not tall, but that's big for a pie, right? Relatively. And it was just like, Mom, well, what is this that you're making? And she said, it was onion pie. I had it when I was growing up. And I said, oh.
It wasn't like your father loves onion pie.
No. If anything, that was like the best way to assure that we never have anything again. If my father liked it, that would be like, that's it, it's over. So, but I would ask my other friends, you know, hey, you know, have you heard of this? So they would say no. So I don't know if it's an Orsonia thing. I don't know if it's something my nonna invented when they came over. All I know is, you know, just what's in it and what it looks like.
I'm going to Buffalo for some onion pie.
I wouldn't be surprised if because people like, you know, like big breads in Buffalo, like thick breads. So I wouldn't be surprised.
Okay. All right.
But speaking of food and spirits, you know, I have to read this poem. Now this poem has baseball too, but it also has, let me ask you, are you a Billy Joel fan?
I am.
Okay, then you might like this poem. So this is called Shadow Traffic. It goes something like this. A bottle of white, a bottle of red. Whenever I hear Billy Joel sing this lyric, I am 7 years old again, wrapping myself around my mother's swollen ankles, trying to keep her from beating my big sister with a baseball bat. Her rage fueled by Riunite Lambrusco and long hours of work to keep Con Ed solvent. I can't stop her. My father is stuck in traffic, listening in horror as Reggie Jackson and Billy Martin come to blows in Fenway Park. A bottle of red, a bottle of white. This lyric returns me to the night before I left home for good, before I lost my accent like a fly ball in an afternoon sun. My father and I watched the Yankees play against the Blue Jays. Joe Carter blasts a Scott Sanderson deuce into the net above Monument Park. A breeze nudges my mother's wedding portrait on the wall. A Camel Smith cigarette smolders in an ashtray. Yankee season is dead, my father says, just like your mother, my wife. I hear him cough for minutes on end for the first time. I'm fine, he says. I wouldn't trade this night for anything, unlike you, my son. He sips his bourbon, then hands me a glass of water. This is so your plane ticket doesn't burn too big of a hole in your pocket, he says. You were right, Father. I swap shadows of skylines and sound walls for those of mountains and mesas. My mother, your wife.
Is it talking out of school to say that your fact about your father that's amazing is that he's won the lottery twice?
Yeah.
Won the lottery, like millions?
Like scratch offs, like millions. Yeah. Millions.
Yeah,
Millions.
7.5 million in total.
Yeah. And he was one of these guys. Who would, you know, he would buy like 1980s dollars, 1970s dollars, right? It was not unusual for him to spend $50, $100, you know, on lotto tickets, you know, which drove my mother berserk. And but he always said, he was like Jackie Gleason in the Honeymooners, I'm gonna hit, and he snapped his fingers as he'd do it. I can't snap, so but he would, and he was confident. He was confident about it. Like it's a matter of
It's predestined.
Yeah, and he was so so when they got divorced, and things happened. Guess who's sorry now? I was like, oh man. So yeah. But with that, speaking of the old hometown, I lived, so I was born in Astoria, Queens. I spent a good chunk of my childhood in South Huntington. And I don't know if you've been, but if you haven't, South Huntington is the birthplace of Walt Whitman. And they love to advertise that every freaking place they can. Walt Whitman Bypass, Walt Whitman
Mall.
Which is now called Walt Whitman Shops. And that's the name of this poem. So here we go. It's a poet I've always liked, but here it is.
Here it's Clara Barton, by the way. Clara Barton lived here and started the Red Cross.
Oh, wow.
Wow. That's ours.
The Clara Barton shops.
Yes, the Clara Barton shops are coming.
Well, then this is even more topical and connective than I
This will
thought.
soon be the Clara Barton Cafe.
This is great. Well, this is dedicated to the memory of Clara Barton. Here we go. Some Long Island for you. Walt Whitman Shops. More houses, less trees. No more dairy barn. No more drive-through convenience store where my father can buy smokes, lottery tickets, milk, the early edition of the Daily News, a six-pack of Peels, Schlitz, or Schaefer, or some other piss-water masquerade, as my mother used to say to him. No more Walt Whitman Mall, which has been renamed Walt Whitman Shops, each store more expensive than the next. No more grass on the lawn of the house I grew up in, replaced by a truck on blocks. The mailbox my father made, gone, like his wedding ring, and all of my boyhood friends, all of us spread out across the world, some in Iraqi battlefields, others in prison, and others in states and cities whose names we learned in junior high, middle school today. No more Roma Deli, where Jerry Cooney worked and picked up Supersada and Genoa Salami, both before and after his shot at the heavyweight championship title. My neighborhood's version of Rocky Balboa, booming, shrill chants of Jerry, Jerry, fogging the glass of my school bus windows, the sun spitting up blood from its swollen orange mouth.
Jerry Cooney.
Yeah, right. He was, and my sister went to school with his sister, and they were like in a lot of the same classes together. They weren't friends exactly, but still, at the time of his, ascension in sports, it was really.
My cousin, who's Irish, was a lightweight contender, like number 10 contender.
Oh wow!
And he knew from South Huntington. And he came up with me, and then my cousin got into an accident, lost a leg actually.
Oh no!
So he still has contact with Jerry Cooney, who still came to visit him in the hospital after.
Wow!
Again, blessed Jerry Cooney.
Yeah.
God bless Jerry Cooney. God bless Karen.
God bless Clara Barton. And God bless Walt Whitman too.
Oh, well, this cafe is named after a health guru who was like the upstate Jack LaLanne. There's a big former sanatorium and health spa up on that hill there. If you look at it when you leave town, it's called Castle. That's it, actually. Well, no, it's not there now. It's usually but it's a ruin, a beautiful building from the 19th century.
Wow.
And so he was like, Bernard McFadden was this health guru who ran it.
Wow.
I think we need a cardboard cutout here.
I think you do too.
I think that makes sense.
I think you do too. There's got to be somebody that use that to take advantage of the.
A photo op.
No, a photo op.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, there you go.
He also jumped out of a plane when he was like 89.
Wow.
Or something.
Maybe you don't need a picture of that part.
Well, no, you could have a, you could.
He was so famous that he was on that, like one of those original TV shows where they try to guess who you are.
Oh,
Wow.
Oh,
There was only like one or two.
The Groucho Marx. The Groucho Marx one.
I'm not sure, but
Oh, wow.
yeah, I bought the book. I believe it.
Oh.
But he was super famous in the 40s and 50s,
Oh, wow.
and now nobody knows his name.
See, this
We'll be
is,
soon. We're all headed there, man.
but this is why I like.
Unless you put it right.
Unless you clear up our memory lives on forever.
Yeah, you are immortal.
Yeah.
But see, this is why I like doing, you know,
Kind of something.
why I love poetry, why I love readings, especially, again.
Especially when no one's.
No, I wouldn't say that. I'm not no one, right? You're not no one, right? You're a person. You're a living, breathing person. Nonsense. No. I mean, it's about, I don't know, we learn from each
We
other.
pride ourselves in intimacy here.
Good job. Good job, Clark Martin. Well, with that in mind, I've got another poem that I'd like to read for you tonight. This one, speaking of famous places, as you know, we live in the Buffalo area, and a good friend of ours purchased a bar not long ago called the Gypsy Parlor. It's this really cool place on the west side of town, and it's just, you don't have to be anything but who you are and just go in there and chill out. And the owner is a friend of ours, which is cool enough. But Todd, our buddy, he's there just as probably more than anybody else. And you could see him at the front of the house in the bar. You can see him in the back of the house cooking. So this poem was inspired by him and something that Todd does, which is kind of an unofficial event. I don't know if you have anything like this here, George, but maybe after reading this poem, you may. This poem is called Motherfucking Jeopardy at the Gypsy Parlor.
I don't think we have that.
Which is an actual thing that he does. So here it is. Hay burner on tap. Todd, the bar owner, turns up the TV's volume. It's time for Jeopardy. Drink and play, balls, he commands. All questions must be shouted at the TV, as well as preceded by the phrase, "What is motherfucking?" Todd clears his throat, then demonstrates, "What is motherfucking donkey punch? What is motherfucking Enceladus? What is motherfucking hero Ulysses Grant?" A daily double. Tequila shots around the house as long as the Jeopardy contestant bets all of his or her money. Not tonight. Todd shakes his head. The people seated at the bar boo and hiss. The bartenders laugh as they mix and pour drinks. Another hayburger for me. That guy has no guts, balls, Todd bellows. Absolutely no motherfucking testicles.
Wow. I think we need that bar here in Denver.
Well, there goes this for sale.
Okay, there is a bar for sale in town. You
Oh.
interested?
I should tell Todd about it. We should tell Todd about it.
Yes, they make their own tonic, which is one of the things that they call their own mixers.
And this is out in Grand Island?
No,
This
it's in.
this actually in Buffalo,
Yeah, it's
yeah.
on the west side.
And Todd,
Campus, really like a block from Buff State.
right. And Todd also owns like a lot of houses like nearby. Like it's nicknamed Latinaville because he owns like 10 houses like in the area too. So
Very
yeah.
Buffalo thing to do.
So
To be
a lot of houses.
landlording is sort of
landlording is
a lot
a
of
big thing,
people's job. Yeah.
We have a few of those here in town.
So yeah, but yeah, the Gypsy Parlor is incredible.
Okay.
It's an incredible place.
All right. Do they have buffalo wings? Do they do the wing?
Oh, sure. They do the wings. They absolutely do things and so much more. So now I'm gonna get the poems from them now. The thing about this book, why I was really happy that it came out, other than the fact that it did, is because it came about, I don't know, I wrote a lot during the pandemic when it first hit. I was really, I write a lot anyway, and when I say I write, I don't mean like I have books I'm writing, just things. Someone will say something, I'll just write it down so I don't forget it. Or maybe I'll see something crazy, maybe like there'll be a cloud pattern like a kangaroo or something that I'll see. Oh, write that down, so don't forget that. This book came about because I was really trying to cope with the pandemic. It was a coping mechanism because I teach at Buff State, George mentioned before, and I don't know, I was having a really good semester. Just all classes, students were in it, everybody was really feeling themselves, and everybody seemed happy. And then, of course, quarantine happened, and everybody had to basically reinvent everything. And I don't know, it really messed me up in a lot of ways because I felt sad for Me, I felt sad for the students, some of whom had to go back home and become breadwinners for their family. So for me, I was coping just by writing, just to deal with it. And baseball has always been, again, the source of comfort for me. George and I know, right?
Yes.
We talked about like how
I
statistics.
self-medicate with baseball.
Yeah. Right. So it just became, and I don't know, I had just a bunch of things I wrote down, and a buddy of mine said, hey, have you considered, putting it all together? I said, no, I'm just trying to spell my name, So this is one of the first poems that kind of made this possible. So this book is, it's a collection of letters, epistles, to baseball players all throughout the book. And one of the first ones I wrote to was the names of baseball. Baseball players have the best nicknames. And I hope this poem illustrates why such is the case. So this poem is To Razor Shines. Razor Shines.
Yes.
Who has a name like that? You have to be an athlete with a name like that. So here it is, To Razor Shines. Dear Mr. Shines, Razor, do I have to live a life others want for me just because they've chosen it for themselves? When I look at your baseball card, I see the backyard of the house I grew up in, where hubcaps bloom beside black-eyed Susans. I see myself sitting at a round burgundy spray-painted wooden table, slurping a glass of iced tea as I read and memorize the names of ball players and the various cities and towns they hail from. For instance, Razor is your middle name. Durham, North Carolina intrigued me. It was somewhere and something different from what I knew, hundreds of miles away from the constant yelling, screaming, kicking, and punching, from the rubber boots, pumps, and knives the adults in my family hurled at each other as well as me. Your name, your career in the show, your time as a Montreal Expo became a hope that I could make a different reality for myself, that I could find my own way to be present in the moment without knowing precisely how things would work out. And I'm grateful to have this card, this marvelous window, where I can still see and hear some chickadees perched on a clothesline, their gold chatter cracking a concrete patio. Yeah, the names were just so, my God, I could not imagine, right?
What's your favorite baseball name of all time?
Oh, boy.
Tough one.
Ooh. I can tell you one of them. And it'll be the next poem I read. Conveniently
Okay.
enough.
All right.
That's Satchel Paige.
You're welcome. Oh, that is great.
Satchel Paige. Come on, you can't. That's creative. You have to pay attention for a little while, right? This is my friend Satchel Paige. What do you do? Well, I'm a welder. Hi, Satchel. You can't not. It's just too cool. And then in the case of Mr. Page, just learning about his career as a fan, learning about his place in the game's history in just all sorts of ways. So with that, let me read you this poem, which I feel so fortunate that, well, it came to me. I'm fortunate. I don't know, baseball, again, it's like a gift to me. Because not just because of the way I could relate with people in my family in ways I couldn't otherwise do, but I don't know, it made me see the world just differently. People, because in my family, we didn't hang around with too many people who weren't Italian. On occasion, maybe an Irish person, maybe, And so I don't know. Baseball just exposed me. The baseball cards, like reading the facts of the cards, learning about all these towns. Like getting the information. This person's 6'1", right? Oh wow, how about that? Burbank, California. Where's Burbank? As a young kid, I just made me want to know. So when I learned about Satchel Paige, who my grandfather told me, I was like, who is that? Even more mythic to me than Santa Claus. Satchel Paige. So this is to him, and he lived. He was. People say that he was born in 1906, so that's in debate. 1906 to 1982. Yeah. So here's his poem. I hope you like it. Dear Mr. Page, the only regret about being born when I was is that I didn't get to see you pitch in a live game. To see you throw your jump ball, b-ball, two-hump looper, midnight creeper, bat dodger, or hesitation pitch. I would have loved to hear you tell Jackie Robinson and the rest of your infielders and outfielders to sit down while you struck out the side. I would have loved to see you intentionally walk 2 batters in the 1942 Negro League World Series just so you could face the great Josh Gibson with the bases loaded and tell him where each pitch was going to go before you struck him out 3 straight pitches. It would have been beautiful to watch you help Cleveland win the 1948 World Series months after my mother was born with other pitches, such as the screwball, knuckleball, and the Apis pitch. My jaw dropping like a drawbridge, people embracing the terminal tower, and every single fountain in Kansas City gurgling your name.
Do you know the Willie Mays story about Satchel Paige?
Sort of.
Well, Willie Mays, Satchel Paige, when Willie Mays was 17, he was playing on I don't know where he was playing with Satchel Paige. I guess it was the Negro Leagues. Satchel Paige threw him a curveball and he hit a ball off the wall.
Wow.
He was 17, Satchel Paige was like 35. And he said, okay, next time up, he said, okay, I'm going to throw you 3 straight fastballs. Are you ready? Fastball number 1, he's strike 1, strike 2. And fastball number 3, Willie Mays said he was just standing there waiting for it. And Satchel Paige reared up. And as he was throwing the ball, he said, now go sit down.
The one, the only.
Yeah.
The one, the only. For my money, if I were starting a team, he'd be the first player I'd take for so many reasons. Another name, as you're talking, I'd say my second favorite baseball name is for a baseball player named, again, real name, Biff Pocoroba.
I remember him.
Yeah, right from the Braves. Right? Biff Pocoroba, just Biff. I mean,
those 2 names don't really.
No, right? You got to be some kind of badass to pull off the name Biff anyway. And Pocoroba is just like, that's a dance. Do the Pocoroba.
Yeah,
right? That's just like
tremendous.
So I'd say that's a close
better
second.
than Cookie Rojas.
That's
just another great name.
Another wonderful name. That's the thing. Like, Pockets Kelly. Right? There's just so much.
Anybody named Mookie though.
There you go.
Yeah, you can't go wrong with Mookie.
There you go. That's sterling. Yeah, you can't, right? And you can put that in front of anything and make any last name pop, right? Mookie.
Mookie Pocoroba.
Yeah. For example, Mookie Wainwright. I mean, Mookie Smith. It's just.
I think I missed
goes
it.
somewhere.
I have 1 kid and I did not name him Mookie.
Missed your opportunity.
You didn't take your shot.
Oh,
Damn, George. What's wrong with you? But George, you are a Yankee hat, which I appreciate very much. And so I dedicate this next poem to you for this next fan mail. For a player who's Yankee, not for a long time. He was mostly a Baltimore Oriole, made a name for himself. This is for a ball player whose nickname was Motormouth. But for the poem, this is to Paul Blair, who lived from 1944 to 2013. Here's his poem. Dear Mr. Blair, when you asked me if I wanted you to sign my baseball bat and your rookie card, my spirits were as high as a moonshot smacked by Reggie Jackson, Mr. October. We conversed as you signed everything. You said it was almost as great to be Mr. October's teammate as it was to talk with fans like me, who treated you like family. I don't know how or why I didn't faint, but this memory is why I want my body to be viewed with the baseball you signed in my cold, stiff hands before I become smoldering ash. So yeah, again, just so the next poem I'm going to read for you is from my new book, Breakaway, which just came out. I mean, just last week came out, and I'm really happy that it's in the world for a lot of reasons. But one of the things that I think makes me enjoy, again, writing is the conversations that we can have. So again, thanks so much for having me here tonight. It's a pleasure. And the first poem I'd like to read from Breakaway is, well, a baseball poem, appropriately enough. And this is one that just, I don't know, I don't know why it didn't occur to me sooner while I was writing fan mail. So a fan mail is a collection of letters, a Pistols baseball player. This one is an unsent letter, you might say. And so, are you a baseball fan?
That's a fact question for me. I used to be, and I'm getting back into it. How's that?
That's a great answer. Any answer's a great answer. You could have told me no, and
And
that would have been fine
that's
too.
why-
So far tonight, I'm totally wanting to.
Right on. Yes, very cool. Well, are you a baseball?
I was a huge baseball fan growing up.
Wow. Who'd you root for?
I was a Mets fan.
Oh, then you might like this poem. You might
You
like this
have to
poem.
tell him the John Franco story later.
Oh, we'll do. Oh,
This
baby.
is good stuff.
You got it. Oh,
Yeah, it's along those lines.
yeah. So, well, this is for you. This is Unsent Letter to Nino Espinosa.
Oh, wow.
Speaking of great names. And Nino Espinosa was on this earth from 1954 to 1987. So here it is. Dear Mr. Espinosa, your card from 1969 is the best. Your incredible name, your Mets cap barely on, your impressively big hair, your mischievous eyes and grin, your dashing tapered tendril mustache, your white and light blue batting glove beneath your Rawlings mitt, your left index finger sticking out of the mitt slot. This card remains worth its weight in all the snow cones and bubble gum from the wax packs I bought from Stan the Ice Cream Man that scintillating summer, and all of the times my tongue turned bright cherry red.
So what did Nino Espinosa die of at 33 years old?
I think he had a heart attack, actually.
Really?
Yeah, he had a heart condition that they didn't know about until after, because his career ended prematurely because of elbow injury. Yeah, he threw like over like 230 innings, like both of his full seasons with the Mets, which of course now we know is just
Back then, they just.
you get out there. You gave up 10 runs in 4 innings, you stay out there. Yeah, it was different, right? To put it mildly. Then he went to the Phillies, and he was on there for their 80 championship run, but he wasn't on the postseason roster. So he finally gets a break to like be on a good team, and he can't even like enjoy it. Dallas Green left him off for no good reason, even though he was pretty effective for them as a middle reliever. So, Espinosa, but yeah, what a character.
Yeah, I remember the hair.
Yeah.
It was the late 70s, so a lot of people had the hair.
And he was known for kind of like being just like a quiet prankster. Like he always had this grit. Apparently, he's just known for, like the kind of guy who would put like a baseball like underneath your, like within your pants or something, and then you just like giggle and walk off. So, yeah, Espinosa. So next, I'd like to read for you. So I'm also a comic books fanatic. Comics are, if baseball and comic books are like my left and right arm, on any given day, you can probably see me doing both at the same time. It's not unusual for me, Beth can vouch for this, it's not unusual for me to be sitting in front of the TV watching a game while I have like a stack of comics like right by me.
I hope I didn't disappoint you. He asked me if my son was still into comics, and I said, no, he's into anime.
Oh, no, that's nice, cool.
Which is comics adjacent.
Yeah, no, totally. I could see why he would be, sure. So this poem has some comics and some other stuff, but here it is. It's called Back Issues. You break the neighbor's window, I break you, my father said before he threw me against the dresser in my mother's bedroom. Then he punched me in the stomach. I saw stars shoot above the red shag carpet. The next thing I knew, I was in my room and my father watched TV. His loud slurps of beer foamed in my ear. His cackles were swords cutting my gut. I tried to take my mind off my pain by reading a comic book, a back issue of Iron Man. On the last page, a woman asked Iron Man if Commander Kraken, the issue's guest villain, had drowned in a cave. Iron Man ruminated on helping Kraken if he could have, but he didn't find an answer. I was confused. Weren't superheroes supposed to know right from wrong? Weren't parents? Why wasn't this so? I didn't know yet that my father was both physically and mentally abused by his father. I didn't know yet that his father's infidelity and drinking made him hard, scarred, distrustful, and angry at the world. But now that my hair is almost as gray as my father's, I understand that I don't have to bury my anguish like a treasure chest or a body, as he did. Something always has to happen in a comic book, but it ends for the most part until I hear my father laugh. His cackles as sharp as the steel of a powerful pirate's blade, stabbing me for hours on end. Yeah, comics were a refuge for me, you know. And again, if baseball was kind of a way of, you know, bridging the gaps between, you know, just relatives, being able to talk to them like, you know, as people, and then talking to me like a person, like, and said, "What a cute little boy," you know that nonsense, right? Yeah, grabbing my cheeks. I hated that. You know, like, even at age 4, I was like, "What are you doing?" And it's just like, I can make words. You know, I'm a person.
I can vouch that some of the great uncles, especially the ones from Italy, had like a vice-like grip with these 2 fingers in the cheek. They would like. I don't know what that is.
No, but it hurt too.
Yeah, it did hurt.
It hurt.
Yeah.
It's like, stop that.
Stop, yeah.
It's the initiation.
It's the initiation. You're gonna have a purple mark on your face.
Yeah. It's like, wow, this is so much fun. Go to hell. You know, it's like, stop it. Fortunately, though, here's a poem about a relative who, thank God for this woman. Thank God for my mom's mom. This is her. This is called Ida's Blessing. This is from my nonna. Fennel. Always use it when you make sauce. You know, forget this. Capiche? It important, like your girl. She Irish. She's strong. She have eyes green like leafy tree. She laugh tall as the Chrysler building. That's good. You have taste. You like? She's smart. You work better overtime to keep up. She to you what fennel is to sauce, to Sunday and any dinner. You know, forget this. Capiche?
Fennel, huh?
Yeah, that's everything. That's everything.
My grandmother's name was also Ida.
Is that right?
Yes, it was.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh,
My sister's great consternation when she was younger. Her middle name is my grandmother's name.
Oh, wow.
Which unfortunately rhymes with my last name.
Oh, Lord.
Oh, God.
And she was Valerie Ida Gaida.
That's fantastic.
It's tough.
That's fantastic.
Well, you know, Joey's sister was Nicole Nicoletti.
Oh, wow.
Really?
So it's.
My parents, man.
That doesn't give you a lot of career options there. Yeah. It leads you in a certain direction. Nicole Nicoletti. Wow.
Yeah, they were, you know,
Pop star.
No, they were just determined to be at each other's throats. How could you not be? I mean, you know. And for the longest time, I was too, because I'm named after my father and my grandfather. You know, and I actually went through a phase, like, you know, I said, I want you to call me Fred. because like if you said Joe in my house, like 50 million freaking people would answer.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like
Mookie.
Yeah, again, yes. See, it all comes together, right? You know, the names. So names for me have always been, you know, really, you know, how do we get them? Why do we get them? You know, and I remember asking my parents, why did you give me my own freaking name? You know, and my dad said, it's an honor. I said, no, it's not. I said, no, it was easy. It was easy. You didn't have to work for that. What'd you do? Like, look at your license? Come on, man. You could have come up with something for me. I think my mom tried to placate me by lying. She bullshitted. She said, well, we were thinking about naming you Carmine. You know, it was the hesitation in between the talking.
I take Joey.
Yeah.
I with Joey.
And that's why I claimed it, because of all the variations of Joe, no one was called Joe. You know, I was like, I'll take that.
So I also named after my father and grandfather, my grandfather's name was not actually George. It was like Roger in Italian.
Really?
Somehow they called him George. And my middle name is my other grandfather, whose name was not Mario. It was Matteo. But if you say that with a New York accent, it sounds like Mario.
Yeah.
So I'm like misnamed twice.
Oh, boy.
It's a sad world.
Yeah. And I got 2 more poems for you. And speaking of the Italian language, here's one. So this, in the book, this is dedicated to mine and George's and Denise's too. Our buddy Samuele Pardini. Love that guy. Love that guy. And here's one of the reasons why. This poem is called This Week's Italian Lesson. This week's Italian lesson was taught to me by my friend Sam. Mi tocco le palle, he says. This is an Italian translation of touch my balls, a phrase that means knock on wood, as Sam explains during our conversation about a job I applied for. You'll nail it, he says. I feel it. I do. Just as I feel that next year, my Buffalo Bills will be great. Mi tocco le palle. Get ready, man. They will punch every team in their idiot mouths because they made the playoffs for the 4th time in 5 years, which they haven't done since the last century. Also, today we're having lunch at a place that makes a mean bowl of Fra Diavolo, and the sun will stretch its linebacker large legs out by the time we're done, Sam says. Tell you, Paisano, keep learning, keep teaching your heart out. Don't stop rooting for your Seattle Seahawks, even when they get punched in their idiot mouths by my Bills. Mi tocco le palle.
Wow. Is that it? He just bought a set of like Italian 2 weeks CDs.
I took a picture for him. The library's having a sale during the festival. So I told him I was going to book sale. It's always a good time to talk books.
It's like Italian, speak in a week.
Yeah, speak Italian in a week. Yeah.
Oh boy.
Three CDs for $3.
Oh wow, what a bargain.
I just bought it for him.
We're gonna make the informal idiomatic one.
Now that one is a little
All
pit.
right, let's work on that.
Oh, right. Well, speaking, so this next poem, again, final one for tonight. Again, thank you so much. This is great. This final poem takes, it's derived from a Lawrence Ferlinghetti quote. I don't know how or why that happened, but it did. And the quote is, "I am waiting for a rebirth of wonder." So, from the poem called "I Am Waiting," from Conion of the Mind. If you haven't read that book, do yourself a solid, read it, you will love it. And the name of this poem is called "My Rebirth." I am waiting for a rebirth of wonder. Great, Lawrence Ferlinghetti. This morning, I am thrilled as a spy with a new alias, as a UPS driver cutting off a city bus. This morning, I am as thrilled as an astronaut doing cartwheels on Mars, as an archaeologist with a LiDAR scanner. This morning, I am thrilled as Congressman Jamie Raskin, discussing the Constitution with anyone. This morning, I am as thrilled as Tony Stark, firing repulsor rays at Ironmonger and Loki, then savoring a Burger King cheeseburger or shawarma, as some of you might have seen in Iron Man or Marvel's The Avengers. This afternoon, I am thrilled as Billy Pilgrim, having sex with Montana Wildhack, or as Captain James T. Kirk, having sex with anyone or anything. As Julia Child saying "Bon appetit," especially during Thanksgiving. As Gloria Anzaldúa refusing to tame her wild tongue. As Lucille Clifton refusing, always spinning a man like a top. As Lawrence Ferlinghetti, who shows me the eternal graffiti written in my first-generation Italian-American heart. And as Frank O'Hara, watching Looney Tunes or Kabuki. This afternoon, I am as thrilled as my mother, reading The Shining. As my father, anytime he watches West Side Story. As Eddie Van Halen, shredding on stage. As Jam Master Jay, beat matching, as some of you might have checked out in concert back in the day, or as others of you might have seen on YouTube. This afternoon, I am as thrilled as Shohei Ohtani, driving in 8 runners and striking out 13 batters in consecutive games. This afternoon, I am as thrilled as a squirrel chasing another squirrel, as a kookaburra lapping clouds out of the sky, as a sloth taking a nap. Tonight, I am as thrilled as a troubling of goldfish swimming together, as my neighbor PJ rolling and smoking a perfect joint on his back porch, as his short-haired cat Buzz Aldrin sniffs the pungent air, as the stars dilate. And tonight, once more, I praise the same world for spinning under you and me. Thank you so much.
Wow. I like that. That is, I try to get my students to write sort of litany poems sometimes, as we call list poems.
Yeah.
They're never attempted that good, unfortunately. But That's really nice.
Thank you.
Praise God.
Thank you.
So, you said a lot about why you write about baseball.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this question, because I think most people who write are restless, so they wouldn't write. Do you ever get tired of writing about baseball?
Never. Honest to God, never. Never, because it always takes me somewhere that I have no idea where it's going to go, right? I don't know, like, there's a poem, you mentioned Mookie Wilson before. I should have read it tonight. For fan mail, again, as a coping mechanism, but I'm still writing baseball poems, right? Again, even in this new book. And again, it's because it's a source of joy. And I don't know, it's like being with God. I never get tired of it. And I don't know, but why baseball poems specifically? Because I think there are ways of me discovering. I always discover something when I write a baseball poem. I mean, like like for instance tonight, after you and I chill, after we all chill out together, right? I might be up till like 4 a.m. just like writing down, I don't know, something else about Mookie Wilson that I didn't know before. Just because it's fun. And then I always seem to discover something, like, why am I writing about Mookie Wilson again? Well, because now I know someone else who likes Mookie Wilson. So now I see it from your perspective. Or, if I write long enough, Mookie Wilson's a way of me thinking about how much I miss my uncle. Because that's where I met, that's where I was introduced to him. Like, I went to a ball game, we saw Mookie Wilson there. I saw his reaction to his name. What kind of a name is Mookie, right? So
while we're on the Mets,
yeah.
could you tell the John Franco story?
Yeah. Oh, sure. All right, so check this. All right, so this is 1985, and this is April 1985. So this is when Pete Rose is in hot pursuit, breaking Ty Cobb's all-time hit record. And my dad drove a bus in the city for 40 years, and his depot was in the Casey Stengel depot, right next to Shea. And so I wanted to go see, Pete Rose, maybe get a little closer to it. I just wanted to witness like a, historic, one-of-a-kind baseball event. How often would I get that chance? And as a fan, I was chomping at the bit. And so my dad, I've been busting his balls, poor guy. I've been busting his balls for like months about, Dad, get tickets. He would never get them. Even though he worked right there. One, he hated the Mets. Two, it's so much work. I gotta walk 400 yards. I can't do that. It's like, shut up, right? So one day he surprised me. He had two tickets, and he's like, get your stuff. We're going. I said, all right. I actually bought a Reds hat for the occasion. Yeah, like my paper route money, like I saved up. I got myself a freaking Reds hat.
That's a good hat.
Yeah, well, big C, real simple, nice bright red, very springy. I popped that thing on, my dad and I went, and I had a baseball. I was like, oh man, if I get Pete Rose to sign this, this would be just so, how cool would that be? So we got there like hours before, right? And players came on the field, right? The visiting team always came on first, right? So, and so I get there, right? But our seats, we were in the upper deck. So it's like, okay, how am I going to get down there? Because they wouldn't let you just go down to the field. So I had saved like about $60 so I could pay off, so I could, so I could bribe the people, right? And so I did. I got down there, and one dude's like, give me $10 more if you want to be down there. So I said, all right, fine, I'll do that. So I did. This guy made a killing off me. $1980 again, like $20 was like, for him.
What were you, like 12 years old?
Yeah, something.
He's extorting $20.
Yeah. But the weird part was I didn't care. I was like, yeah, go ahead, man.
But you did.
Yeah, it's like just whatever it takes. I'm getting down there. Want a hot dog on that? I don't care. Pete freaking Rose is gonna be there, right? So I get down there, and there's like, you can imagine like lots of people, all of them holding out their arms. It's like a forest of like arms and like stuff in their hands, sign this, sign that, right? So somehow, I don't know how I did it, but I kind of squeezed my way, in between like 2 or 3 big people. Maybe that's why, because it's like, if I'm short enough. If I can get between the 2 big people down there, he'll sign it. Right up. So I get down there, and you know, all the Reds are coming out, right? And Rose starts walking towards, lo and behold, I guess about 20 minutes have passed. Rose comes walking out. You know, he's got strut, you know, he comes strutting on out, and he's like, I kid you not maybe where the table is to where I am. Rose right there. I'm like, Mr. Rose, please, can you please sign this? It would be great. Could you please sign this? I really hope you get closer to breaking Tykov's record today. Swear to God. He looks right at me. So you want my autograph, do you? I said, yes, please. Would you mind? It would be so great. I know you're busy, but please. He said, get lost. Wow. I said, say what? Get lost. Get out of here. I couldn't believe it. And the guy who I brought to get down there was like, I said, he's like, you got 2 minutes. So who comes strutting out? But 2 pitchers. Jay Tibbs, who was a former Mets farm head, who was a highly touted prospect, who the Mets had traded for Bruce Bereni, who didn't last very long as a Met because of shoulder problems. But at the time, he was like a really promising young pitcher. And lo and behold, John Franco. So I thought to myself, hey, my dad would probably love John Franco's autograph because my dad always rooted for the Italian guys, no matter who they were, even on the Red Sox. He, hey, you got to root for the home team, the Italian guys. So, you know, and I just knew that if I went back empty-handed, my old man was going to break my balls about, why did you get the autograph? What's the matter? He would tease me. He would tease me like within an inch of my life and really just make me feel like crap about anything. If I didn't set out to do anything, that's just his way. He just likes to break balls. That's his thing. It doesn't hurt your feelings. I'm like, yes, it does. It'll toughen you up. You know, okay. So I see John Franco, you know, come strutting out too. I said, all right, maybe John Franco. Hey, Mr. Franco, hey, how you doing? He comes on over, you know, like someone else had like yelled, you know, someone else yelled and he came over. I was like, all right, cool. It's like, hey, Mr. Franco, would you mind signing this? My dad's a big fan. It would really make his day if you would sign this. He told me to go fuck myself.
I love you.
Part of the Reds publicity machine.
I mean, and I couldn't believe it. I was like, say what? You heard me? Go fuck yourself. I'm not signing it. I'm not signing for you. And he just strutted off. But before he did, a lot of people were like behind me at this point. And some people, you know, had seen, I don't know, there's this one big, I mean, like Hulk Hogan, big dude behind me. He's like, that motherfucker just said what I think he said. I said, I think he did. He's like, and so he starts yelling everything. And any curse you could think of and imagine. Wow, I've never heard someone, you know, put someone's mother down so quickly, so definitively. He's like, you'll never be the man your mom is. You know, like, you know, just like all kinds of just, and Franco's getting pissed off. Now, John Franco's like, this is early in his career, so he's like in his mid-20s, I guess. And Franco starts like trying to like climb into the stands. He starts trying to climb it, but Rose, Charlie also comes on out. Get back, these fans suck. You suck, Rose. It was great. Sort of, because at the very least, it made me feel like, wow, I actually did hear this. Okay, I'm not crazy, right? So you know, then finally, you know, they go back in, and of course, the usher's like, too bad it didn't work out, little paisan. No.
What's interesting about this story too is like this is a touchstone for the way that society's changed. There really was anger. You could express anger as a professional athlete toward fans in a way that they're very policed now.
Yeah.
And the other thing is like at Shea Stadium, for example, with Memphis Flag, I remember seeing fights. Like in the upper deck, people would, if a guy wore a Dodger jersey to the game, he would literally get beaten up.